the third piece, hopefully, is the awareness that we're all living in a toxic soup. That's where I was alluding to the fact that these kind of distant tribal communities didn't have these exposures, but now you can't get away from it pretty much. When we're ingesting a credit card a month, around the world, thanks to just things in our food, our air, our water, it's pretty sad of some of the endocrine disruption there. When places like India that have been living on a diet that's pulsed, legumes and grains for millennia, who are now dying from the very diet that sustained them, not because of those foods, but because of the chemicals being dumped onto those foods.
Mm-hmm.
These are the places that are changing the game that we have to learn to adapt to in our modern times. So toxicants are huge. There are so many, 60 to 80,000 new chemicals have been introduced to our world since the 1960s, of which less than a few hundred have been really thoroughly tested. And none of them until recently, an IARC study a couple years ago, started looking at the cumulative effect of those. Because you can look at them individually and you're like, well, that's relatively benign. But when you start to bring them together is when you start to get some pretty toxic soups.
Mm-hmm.
And then I even categorize in the realm of toxic exposures some things that we are seeing more and more because of its direct implications on oxidative stress, so the creation of oxidative stress in the body, are things like EMFs. Okay, and again, not going away. So how do we live with and moderate and use, transform those exposures to help keep ourselves doing fine? Because you can't kind of get away from 5G rolling out across the world at this point.